Hi guys, it's Natural One here again, and I've decided to put together another video. Now, the thing is, this particular video, like I said, I don't really like making political or social related videos because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to discuss lore. I prefer to discuss nerdy topics, and maybe given enough time, I'll also be telling you more and more stories. That's actually what I've got planned here. I'm working on a script for a story regarding a previous video of mine about superstition surrounding Good Friday here in the Philippines. The day that Jesus died. But yeah, I just took the time to make this other video because there are things I'd like to address first and foremost. And before we proceed, let me tell you this has mostly to do with politics in the Philippines. The thing is, people now there are people who think I'm American because they say I really sound like one, but truth is I'm not. I'm just a regular Filipino guy working in customer service even. So I'm not really much actually. But yeah, as a common citizen of the Philippines, there are things that I think really need to be addressed here. So, okay. I guess we'll talk about the concept of men crying. And even in Western countries like the United States, Canada, Europe, people are saying that, men crying is. I mean, there are people who say that it's good, but there are still, I guess, non-progressive people who think that it's cringy. But if you will ask me, it is only natural for a man to cry. There's nothing wrong with that. It is normal, and I don't even really understand why it's such a problem for people to see men crying. It's a natural thing, and it happens, and it really does help make someone feel better. I will admit that I'm also a follower of what's her name? Well, anyway, I follow YouTubers who also try to discuss, men's mental health, men's emotions, and I think a man's mental health is every bit important as that of a woman's. So if men are crying, let them. It's their right. You shouldn't make fun of them. But now, I'm going to talk about something else, and this is more politics related, but it's mostly just here in the Philippines. See, after a recent incident, okay, so if there are any of you who are non-Filipinos who are, keeping up with my channel, the previous president of the Philippines was arrested by the International Criminal Court and taken to The Hague in the Netherlands. So there are a number of Filipino politicians who are crying over this. It's like they're saying that we are deprived of a good leader. And then there's also people crying over the arrest, or should I say detention, because they haven't really, finished up with that. The detention of Apollo Kibuloy, the pastor for Kingdom of Jesus Christ here in the Philippines. And people are crying over that too. And they're mostly men. And those examples are cringy, honestly. I mean, come on. You're gonna cry over someone who probably lives better than you. Now, I tell you what. As a man, I also cry over many things, and one of the things I really cry about is the poverty, the absolute despair and squalor our people have to go through every passing day. I was on a bus on my way to work the other day, about a week back, and there was this kid. I think he was just around 12 years old, and he was trying to sell to me popcorn. He was selling popcorn on a bus, and I noticed that no one was buying his popcorn, and I wasn't really hungry at the time, but I decided to buy one. Well, if I had more money on me at the time, I would have bought all of the stuff he was selling, or at least as much as possible, but I could only buy one bag of popcorn from him, which I ate during the trip, but I digress on that. But yeah, I felt really bad that no one was buying that kid's popcorn, and he's just a drop of water in an ocean of poverty here in the Philippines. Around my workplace in Pampanga, you see a lot of kids trying to make do by selling all kinds of random stuff. You see little girls trying to sell you rags to clean your car, stuff like that. And it's awful. It's absolutely awful just to see them like that. It breaks my heart every time. Every time I see them. These kids should be in school. These kids shouldn't have to sell anything. And to say nothing of the other stuff that's going on out there. Like there's news about a woman living in the sewers, and that she has to go into and come out of a sewer drain like Pennywise the dancing clown from Stephen King's It. She has to live like that just to make do. And that, my friends, is something worth crying over. That is sad. That is horrible. I think people deserve better than that. I think kids deserve better than that. But here are some people, men even, who are crying for people who live better than they do. Sure, these people are detained or imprisoned, but get a load of their prison cells. They're literal 5-star hotel rooms. They, like, your basic homeless kid. Do you see them in the night sometimes? Do you see them sleeping on the side of the street? Do you see them sleeping under bridges? Do you see them sleeping in abandoned buildings? I mean, come on. And then the people, fanatics, are crying over, they live in, now I wouldn't say the places where they live in are perfect, but where they live is great. It's most certainly definitely better than where I'm staying at in Pampanga. The place I'm staying at, I'm not gonna dunk on it because it's really affordable, but it isn't great either. Those so-called prisoners and detainees, they have something that's a lot better. They have rooms to themselves. See, they don't have to share their rooms. They probably have air conditioning. They have good toilets that are cleaned regularly. So you see, you understand why I find, so it's not so much as men crying that I would say is the problem. It would be men crying over for lack of a better term, worthless things. If these men, if they even deserve to be called that, want something to be done properly, then I think they should just take things seriously and work on it instead of creating all kinds of drama. So instead of crying in front of cameras and trying to make themselves look like a victim, they should just find ways to support, the leaders they have who have been detained. Well, yeah, you guys already know what I think of those people. I don't think much of them, but they can actually do more and finish more if they just focus on finding a solution to that, like helping their legal team find evidence, helping, like helping their allies in politics here. That would be the thing to do, not, cry in front of cameras and make themselves look like a victim, as well as trying to paint their leaders as martyrs or saints, which they clearly are not. So please, if you're going to cry over anything, please cry for the actual victims, and please stop it with that rhetoric about drug addiction. There's no real evidence that it was drug addiction that caused all kinds of chaos in the Philippines. What I really think is the problem is I already said this in a previous video, but I think it's because we have an infestation of possible mass murderers, and because we lack knowledge in psychology and mental health, we're unable to easily distinguish these people from the rest of the population and see warning signs of who they are. See, if we were as knowledgeable about this kind of thing as, say, people in Canada or, say, Norway, there will likely be less incidents like this, because we would be able to profile who is safe and who is not, instead of just lumping them all together as drug abusers. As an example, I would talk about like Susan Atkins, the accomplice of Charles Manson. She took drugs, yes, but she was, even without drugs, she was already a dangerous woman. She was already messed up, just like Charles Manson. Drugs were just accessories to them. It just made them worse. But the reality is, they were already horrible people. It was just, I guess, one more step. And yeah. So, and I think that some of these people who have been detained or imprisoned, they're not all that different from people like Charles Manson or Jim Jones. And I'm being honest with that. I really don't think there's a huge difference between them. Anyway, I think I've really ranted too much here, so thank you. If any of you decide to watch this, to listen to this, I guess, well, thank you for choosing to listen. But yeah, thank you for taking the time to listen. I'm sorry if I haven't made anything worthwhile yet, but scripts of this sort do take quite a while. So anyway, thank you.